Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to be drafting the pattern for the making of this princess dart bustier with a built-up neckline and an upside-down sweetheart neckline. If this is what you're interested in, keep on watching and hit on the subscribe button. So we are going to start first with the shoulder line. As you can see, I left a space of 2 inches at the top, and then I went ahead to mark my shoulder lines, and then we have the chest line, bust point, under bust, waistline, and the full length over there. And then I had my paper folded into 2 parts, and the first thing we'll start with, we'll measure our shoulder line on the starting point and on the chest line. And after that, what I went ahead to do is to connect the 2 points, and after connecting the 2 points, what I did next was to go to my neck width, and I measured 3 inches for my neck width. And then what I did next was I went to my point where I had measured, and I came down by my shoulder slope. I came down by 1.5 inch for my shoulder slope. Then I connected the line for the neck width and the shoulder slope together. Guys, take note that I told you in our last tutorial that to get your chest point, you divide your bust circumference by 6, and then you add 2.5 inch. The reason why you're adding 2.5 inches is so that you get the shoulder slope you get the shoulder slope while marking your point. But if you already have your shoulder slope, you can mark 1.5 inch instead of 2.5 inches. So after that, what I did was divide the line I had connected from the starting line to the chest line. I divided it by 2, and then I marked that the midpoint for that, and then I went to my bust point, and I measured my bust circumference divided by 4, which was 36 inches. I divided it by 4, and then I went on to my nipple to nipple measurement, and I marked from my starting point, as you can see, to my 4 inches, which is for my nipple point. I marked on my bust point, I marked on my under bust, and then on my full length. Then I connected the nipple line together. So after that, I went ahead to come out from my bust point by 0.5 inch, and then I rolled my line. Then I came to the armhole. I measured my round measurement for the armhole, then I divided it by 2, and after dividing it, I found the midpoint, and then I went from that midpoint and I connected it to my 0.5 inch. I came up for my bust point. Then after that, I went straight to my under bust. For my under bust tightening, I came out on both sides by 1 inch, and then I went to my full length and I measured 0.5 inch on both sides of the nipple to nipple measurement. Then I came down from my bust point by 1 inch, right? And then I took my curvy ruler and I marked from my under bust point to the 1 inch that I came up by. Then after measuring that, I went ahead and I went to my waist measurement, and I measured my waist circumference divided by 4. And then I marked the line, and then I replaced my dart measurement, and I went to my hip circumference divided by 4. I marked the hip measurement and I replaced the dart point, and then after that I added 1.5 inch to my hip circumference to give a little bit of flare at the hip point. After that, I came up to the midpoint of my armhole, and what I did over there was to measure from the starting line of my midpoint. I measured 1 inch, from the starting point, and then to the upper part I measured 0.5 inch over there. Then I went ahead to rule my line to the 0.5 inch measurement that I came up by from the bust point. And then I was just making sure that my line is not too curvy over there on the bust point. After that, I went ahead to retake my measurement on the armhole dart, and I got 1.5 inch. What I did there was to come on the first line for the princess dart, and I retook the 1.5 inch and I measured that, and I went ahead to extend my line. And after extending my line, I went ahead to connect the line that I extended to the chest line, so as to avoid any shortages on the armhole while joining my pieces together. Then after that, I was here making sure that both the first line and the other line were equal. I wanted to make sure that both the lines were equal, and then after that I went to the bust point to make sure that I had no pointiness over there on the bust point. Then after that, I went ahead to the neckline we'll be drafting our neckline right now. So after that, I went to my neckline, and I from the 3 inches I measured, I went ahead to take 1 inch as my guide. That will serve as a guide when I'm drawing my neckline over there. I went ahead to take out 1 inch from the 3 inches I measured, and then after taking that, I went ahead to come up by 2 inches from the starting point. From the starting point over there, I came up by 2 inches, and then I connected that 3 inches I measured for the neck width and the 2 inches, I connected them together as well, and that will serve as a guide whenever I'm doing my neckline. Then I went ahead from that 2 inches, I connected that to my starting line over there from my shoulder line, and after connecting that, I went ahead to measure how deep I want my cleavage to be. So I measured 6 inches because I didn't want my cleavage to show. From the shoulder line, I measured 6 inches over there. Then after measuring the 6 inches over there, guys, so if you want your neckline to be like the one at the top right corner over there, all you can do is just take your ruler and then you connect the 2 inches you came up by to how long you want your cleavage to be. But I didn't want that type of neckline. I wanted the neckline we saw at the beginning of the video. So what I did, and over here you must know a little bit about drawing. So what I did over there was to curve my neckline. Guys, there is no way to explain that to you. You just look at what I'm doing over there and then you do it. Guys, so I didn't want my neck to be too tight, on my neck. I didn't want the neckline to be too tight, so I made my neckline a little bit loose. And after drafting with my hand, I went ahead to take my ruler over there and curve every part of my neckline, as you can see over there. Guys, so if you don't understand what I'm doing, just rewatch the video over and over again and then you understand. So I went ahead with my ruler to curve every part that I used my hand to sketch over there. So to draw this neckline, you must have a little bit of idea on sketches and drawings. You just look at it and then you do what I did over there at first, and then you use your ruler to curve everything and make it perfect. That I came back to my shoulder line and I went ahead. Remember the 1 inch I said I measured from the 3 inches line? I went ahead to curve that to the 2 inches line that I had measured, to the 2 inches neck, the length of the neck that I had measured. I just used my ruler over there to curve everything and make that part a little bit curvy because you can't afford to make it straight. Then after connecting all my necklines, what I went ahead to do is to connect my waistline to my chest line, and then from my waistline I connected to the hip line over there, as you can see. And then after connecting all that, what I went ahead to do right now was to mark my bust that measurement. Guys, remember I told you in our drafting video that the bust point for the length for the front and the length for the back are not the same. The length for the front and the length for the back are not the same. So for my own difference, I have 2 inches. So from the bust point I came down by 2 inches, and then I drew a line from my bust point over there. Then I went ahead to rule that line, as you can see over there. After ruling the line, I had to close my bust that for the front, so that when I draft the back pattern, it will be equal to the front pattern. So what I did over there was to take my tape, and then after drafting that, I went ahead to cut from the bust that I measured, and then I took my tape and I went ahead to to close the bust dart over there. And if you don't understand what I'm doing over there, just watch it over and over again, and then you understand what I did over there. Then after closing the bust dart, when I draft my back part, both the front and the back will now be equal. So this is what I had um closing my bust dart. Then after that, I went ahead to connect my chest line to my waistline, because after uh, closing your bust dart, it won't be equal anymore. So you just go ahead and then you reconnect your chest and your waistline. Then after that, I was done with my front basic bodice pattern, and after that, I went ahead to just cut the pattern. So just look at what I'm doing over there, the cutting process. Make sure you check the parts that I'm cutting properly so that you don't make any mistake while cutting your own pattern. So guys, if you're still watching the video up to this point, it means you're definitely enjoying the video. So what you can do for me is just press the notification button and press the subscribe button, so that each time I post a new video, you'll be updated and you'll be able to watch the video. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that YouTube can refer my videos to other soulmates like you and I. So after cutting my pattern paper, I had what you can see on the video over there. That's because my pattern was folded into two. Guys, if you don't fold your pattern into two, you won't get these, but that doesn't mean it's not correct. It's proper. I just wanted to fold my pattern paper into two so that I see the shape after all the drafting and everything. But you can still fold, you can still decide not to fold your pattern into two. So after that, what I did was go to the back part, and then I marked the same space I had in the front over there. Then I went to my shoulder line and I marked my 3 inches for the neck width, and then I marked my shoulder measurement for on the starting line and on the chest point. Then I came down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. For the front part, I came down by 1.5, but for the back part, I came down by 1 inch only. Then after that, I went ahead to measure my bust point, and then I went to the armhole. I divided my armhole into 2 equal parts, and then I connected my chest line, my bust measurements onto my the midpoint of my armhole. Then I went from my chest line and then I measured my nipple to nipple measurements over there at the chest, at the waist, and at the hip line. Then I went ahead to connect both the lines. After that, what I went ahead to do was to go to the waistline. Then I marked 1/2 inch on both sides of the waistline. Then I came down by 1 inch from the chest line, and what I did was go ahead to connect both my lines over there. And then from the waistline, I came down to the hip line by 5 inches to connect my dart line. And for the chest line, I connected my dart lines to the 1 inch I came down by. Then I measured my waistline and then I added my 1 inch. I went to my hip line, measured my hip circumference, and then I added the 1.5 inch I had added in front at the hip circumference. Then what I did there was to connect my waist to my chest line and then my waist to my hip line over there. After doing that, what I went ahead to do next, I went to the neckline and I marked my 1 inch guide the way I did for the front. Then I came up by 2 inches. I connected my line to that 3 inches neck width that I measured. And then what I did next was to go to the the center of my back, I measured the same 2 inches. Then I connected my line with the lid. It's a little bit curvy but not too curvy. Then I went to my 1 inch guide that I had over there. I connected it to that 2 inch length that I came up by. Then after that, what I did next was to make sure that the measurements were equal. As you can see what I'm doing for the front and for the back, make sure that your measurements are equal to avoid any shortages when you're joining your fabric after cutting your pattern paper on your fabric. So I retook the measurement over and over again just to make sure that my measurements were equal, and then everything was equal. And then what I did next was to go to my zipper part. Right, I went to my for to avoid zipper bulges, to avoid the zipper bulge, I went to my waistline and I came in by 0.5 inch, and then I connected that 0.5 inch to my hip line, and then I connected that also to the starting line over there. If you don't understand what I'm doing, guys, just watch the video and rewatch it over and over again, then you will definitely understand. Then I was done with my back part. Guys, I didn't add any zipper allowance here, but I'm going to add the zipper allowance on my fabric, directly on my fabric. So I went ahead to cut my back part, as you can see over there. Just follow what I'm doing, like how I'm cutting the parts that I'm cutting over there. So guys, after cutting both the front and the back patterns, I went ahead to make sure that the side front and the side back are equal by taking my front side measurement and the back part and then putting them together, and over here everything was okay and giving me what I wanted. So I just wanted to make sure here that I have both the patterns together over here. So guys, that's it for the first part of our video. To avoid the video from being too long, I went ahead to divide this video into 2 equal parts. So if you want to watch the next video, why not go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, so that when I post the next part of the video, you'll be the first to watch it. So guys, see you in my next video, where I'll be cutting the fabric and then joining both pieces together. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that each time I post a video, you'll be the first to watch it. Bye.